Parak of Masachet Chullin, and we get into more detail of the act of shchita. Says the Mishnah, Hashochet, if one shechted an echad, then you're supposed to shecht, if one shechted one of the pipes in a bird, Shnayim b'vehema, or he shechted two of the pipes in an animal, then shchita kosher. Then the shchita is kosher. Rubo shalachad kamahu. And to shecht the majority of the pipe is the equivalent of shechting the entirety of the pipe. The majority of the trachea, the majority of the esophagus is like the entirety of the trachea or the esophagus. So for a bird, we only need one pipe. The majority of one pipe is enough. For an animal, where you need both pipes, the majority of two pipes would be enough. Rabbi Yehuda says, in a bird, it's not enough to shecht one pipe. He also needs to shecht the vridin, the veins that are carrying all the blood. Okay, next case. Chatzi echad ba'of. Let's say a person didn't shecht the majority of a pipe. He only shechted half of one pipe in a bird. So he shechted either half of the trachea or half of the esophagus. Or echad v'chetzi b'behema. He shechted the full pipe plus the half of the next pipe in an animal. He slaughtered the full trachea and half of the esophagus. Then shchita so psula, the shchita is no good. It has to be at least a majority of two in an animal and a majority of one in a bird. Rov echad ba'of. Let's say he slaughtered the majority of one pipe in a bird. Rov shnayim v'vehema, and in the animal he didn't slaughter both pipes. He didn't slaughter one and a half. He slaughtered two majorities. Then shchita so kshera, the shchita is. What's that? It's not. Spelling it out. We'll see in the Gemara. The Gemara is going to say that we already learned this in the beginning. So the Gemara is going to talk about what we learned from this. That's what Rashi says. Okay. So the beginning of the Mishnah was very strange. It said, if somebody slaughtered one pipe in a bird, two pipes in an animal, then it's kosher. So it sounds like a bidiyah, but if it was done, it's okay. Gemara asks, if it was slaughtered, di'evet in l'chatchila lo, it's only b'di'evet such a shchita, echad ba'of or shtayim b'vehema. I understand. Shnayim b'vehema l'chatchila lo. Two in an animal, l'chatchila it's no good, but b'di'evet it's okay. Really? What else do you want him to shecht? How much more do you want him to shecht? He shechted two. That's l'chatchila. What do you mean? If he shechted two, it's okay. It shouldn't be that way. Shchita is to go shecht two. I mean, what more do you want him to do? So, answer is like this. You're right. If I say alternatively, I can tell you, ayachad both. It's saying to slaughter one pipe in a bird is only b'di'evet. L'chatchila, even in birds, you should shecht two. B'di'evet, if you shechted only one pipe in the bird, it also works.
Is that why rabbis, when the bird, sometimes they shecht them, they go around the room, one they walk around before they fall down, it's because only they cut one pipe? Is that what it is? Or?
I don't know. I think it's just sensation. I think it's dead right away. And if you want, I can tell you another answer. Arubo shel echad kamohu. The fact that the Mishnah said you don't have to check the whole pipe, just checking the majority of the pipe is already like checking the entirety of the pipe. But that's only a b'di'evet. L'chatchiva. You should check the whole thing. B'di'evet, a majority is like the whole thing, and that's what they're saying is b'di'evet. Okay, now for the rest of the daf, Gemara is going to discuss how we know that shchita is in the neck. Maybe the act of slaughtering is like malika on the back of the neck. Maybe it's by the nostrils, it's nechira. How do we know that shchita is in the neck? And one of the sort of fallback or default positions of the Gemara, that's halacha l'Moshe miSinai. It's a tradition that Hashem gave to Moshe at Sinai, like many of the other laws of shchita. The 5 basic laws of shchita: not to pause, shehiyah, not to push, not to press, drasa, hagrama, Ikur, Chalada, all these other laws of Shchita are Halach Moshe Sinai. So maybe Shchita in the neck is also just a tradition from Moshe at Sinai. Okay, but that's going to be the discussion. So we start with opinion number one. Amar Rav Kahana said, Minayin l'shchita shuman atzavar. What's the source that slaughtering shchita is done at the neck? So he suggested source number one, Shenamar, because the verse says, "V'shachet es ben abakar lifnei Hashem v'yikrivu bnei Aaron hakohanim es adam v'zarku es adam al mizbeach saviv asher pesach ol moed." So it's the very beginning of the book of Vayikra about karbanos. The Torah says, "V'shachat es ben abakar," and he is to slaughter the cattle. So v'shachat tells you the neck because it sounds like makom shesach chateu, from the place where it bends over. That's where you purify it. That's where you clean it out. You purify it. You clean it out. You make it kosher from the place where it bends. It bends by the neck, and that's where chateu you make it pure. How do you know the term chateu? Because you're dividing up the word v'shachat into sheshach chateu. How do you know that chateu means to purify? As it says, v'chiteas habayis, and he's to purify the house that has tzaras in it with the blood of the bird. The same alternative me'achatz from the following verse, techat'eni ve'ezo ve'tzahar, purify me with the hyssop that'll sprinkle on me the waters of Para Aduma, and I will become pure. So you see again, techat'eni is connected to the word ve'tzahar. So, Lakum Sheshach, on the place where he bends, that's where Chateu, that's where you purify him by emptying him of blood. The Ema says the Gemara, maybe I can read it differently. Misnava, maybe it means the tail. The tail also bends. And maybe the Shechita should be at the tail. So the Gemara says, no, from the fact that it says, V'shachat, sounds like sach, a place that it's bending, michlal shezakav ba'inan, a place that's normally not bent, but now is bent. So the neck normally is up, and then it can be bent down. The tail is always bent down. So Gemara says, "Vaha," and this, the tail, sach v'omedu, is always bent down, over. So Gemara says, still, no. So maybe it means the ear. The ear is normally up. You can bend it down. It's something which could be bent, and from there you should make the incision and empty out the blood. Yeah.
But the two pipes are in this area, and they go to the abdominal. So it's nowhere near the tail or anywhere.
Correct. You're just saying, what's the source in the verse that this is the right way to do it? To do it in the pipes. Maybe the knife should be in the tail. Maybe the knife should be on the ear. So Gemara is saying, no, another aspect that tells me that can't be that. Because we're just saying neck from the fact that it's something bent. Makum sheshach, a place that bends. The tail bends, the ear bends. So we're just trying to see which source in the verse tells us this. That it has to be the pipes.
Kill it. Those other places you're not killing it. They're just draining the blood.
Eventually, when enough blood comes out, it'll die.
It's not
So that's a very important point about Sar Bali Chaim. It doesn't seem that Sar Bali Chaim applies to when an animal is dead. In other words, Sar Bali Chaim means we're not allowed to sort of torture an animal, just leave it alive, tortured. But if it's dead, it's dead.
Slow death is alive, right?
Not sure if we're that concerned about how it dies so much. The Ema, so suggests the Gemara. So the Gemara says, "Ema is no say from the ear." So this is the answer that people have been offering. We know that the shechita is to then get blood that had life in it, and the blood that had life in it has to now be sprinkled on the mizbeach. That's the whole idea of zrika. The point of zrika is that the very life of the animal is now on the altar. That's the kapara. That's the atonement. So there's no blood of life in the ear. The aim of the karavaz well, maybe you start the incision by the ear because that's makom sheshach. That's the place that bends, and you keep cutting all the way till you get to the pipes, till the throat. The Su, and furthermore, says the Gemara, Shehiyah, the fact that when slaughtering, we're not allowed to pause. Terasa, when slaughtering, you can't press. Chalada, when slaughtering, you cannot allow the knife to be covered like a weasel. to go behind one pipe. Hagrama, the fact that the knife can't go out of the right spot, can't go too high. Ikur, the fact that the knife has to slit, it can't uproot. Minal, and how do we know those 5 laws? Ella, rather, Gemara, that's a tradition. It's a tradition that Hashem told Moshe at Sinai, when slaughtering, don't pause, don't uproot. So therefore, maybe Shchita min hatzavar nami. When we talk about the slaughtering, where it should happen, that it should happen at the throat, that's also Gemara Tzalach L'Moshe Sinai. Okay, so if it's Tzalach L'Moshe Sinai, why did the Torah have to teach us this with the words V'shachat? Krolam Ayasa. So Rav Kahana, what's this verse coming for? You're saying V'shachat is Mamakom Sheshachateu, from the place where he bends, that's where you empty him, that's where you clean him out. It's not true. No, the reason of V'shachat is not to teach us that. The reason of V'shachat is to say that the Shechita is, what's the reason for V'shachat? Shechita's in the neck is from Malach L'Moshe Sinai. So rather, why does it say V'shachat? To teach me to lo l'shvaya gistera, that the Shechita should be a slitting, and it shouldn't be that the animal should be filleted into half. Gistera is a utensil that's broken into half. You're not supposed to take the knife and just slice the whole animal in half, cut the whole thing in half. That's not the way to kill it. The way to kill it is shchita from the neck. Rav Yemer said, another suggestion. Again, it's going to come back to this source too. Rashi says, you shouldn't cut the entire neck bone, the bone there at the top of the spine, into 2. That's what it's saying. Chateyu. Hotze yastamo. Take out its blood, v'sulo, don't do further.
Is it possible to go all the way through, Rabbi?
I guess it's, I think it's a drabbanan, right? Because it's gonna ruin the knife. You're not gonna know when the knife got ruined. It's not really a doraisa. According to the other version, hechsher achilaso dana simanim v'sulo. Just get the pipes and no more. Lishnachrina, another explanation, lo lishvaya gistra, don't cut it into half, means shelo yidros, don't press with the knife. Even though we just said the 5 laws of shchita, alach l'moshe Sinai, yesh mehem shenichtavu, some of them were written. We're going to say further, v'shachat means he has to pull. Hilchasa is referring to the others, says Rashi. To rasa kari gistra, to press, that's called gistra, as we learned in the Mishnah. Okay. All right, next is Rav Yemer. Rav Yemer, what's the source that shchitas from the neck on my crutch from the following pasuk? The pasuk says, "V'zavachta." Ki yirchak mimcha makom asher yivchar Hashem Elokecha l'sum shmo sham v'zavachta mitkarcha mitzonecha shenasan Hashem lecha kasher tzivisicha. V'achalta b'sharecha v'chol avas nafshecha v'zavachta. V'zavachta, that's the word zavachta. Zavachta is like the word zav. Mimakom shezav chateyu, from the place where the blood flows, that's where you cut it. That's where you break it. Namely the neck. My mashmadai chateyu lishna demitbaru. How do we know that the word chateyu means break it? It says al tirav al techas. Don't be afraid and don't be shattered. Don't be trembling. Don't be broken. So 1 second, we talk about the place that flows, maybe from the nostrils. In the nostrils there is phlegm that's flowing. So Gemara says, the point is, Zvacheyu, Zavachta, Zav, Al Yidei Chitu B'inan. We need something which will flow because of a cut, because of a breaking. So that's the neck, because there the blood will flow through a cut. Whereas the nostrils, in terms of it's going upchi, Zav Me'elavu, and it just flows on its own. Ve'ema Me'libo. So if you're going to say the source from the fact that it says V'zavachta, cut it, break it at the place that it'll flow. So make it the neck, make it the heart. The heart has blood. Maybe that's where you have to cut it. Not to cut it at the throat.
Rabbi, why are you using the word break, not cut?
Because that's what it's saying. Chateyu is meaning to break.
But the actual is cut, right?
You break the pipes through a cut. That's how we're interpreting the verse.
Okay, all right.
So once you're saying that the reason how we know throat is from the fact that it said zavach makom shazav, a place where there's a flow. So if that's the case, It should be the heart too. Because in the heart there's a flow of blood. And further, that in the slaughtering, Shehiyah, that it shouldn't be a pause. Rasa, it shouldn't be pressing. Chalada, the knife shouldn't be covered. Hagrama, the knife shouldn't be out of the spot. Ikor, it shouldn't be uprooted. It shouldn't be uprooting. We know. How do we know those laws? Ella, how do you know that? It's Gemara. It's a tradition of Allah Moshe Sinai. Therefore, Shechita Minetzav Arnami is Gemara Allah Moshe Sinai. So therefore, it's not from the Zavachta, because if it would have been from the Zavachta, we would have thought the heart. Really, it's Allah Moshe Sinai, even according to Rav Yemar. So now, according to Rav Yemar, what does the Zavachta teach us? What's the verse for? You shouldn't make it into a broken vessel. In other words, the two explanations we just saw in Rashi, he shouldn't press with the knife, or he shouldn't continue with the knife past the pipes into the bones, because then the knife will be nicked. Proposal number 3. The Rabbi Yishmael Tana. In the Yeshiva of Rabbi Yishmael, he taught the following. This is the source. The verse says, again, Vishachat. Al Tikre Vishachat. So now, the Torah is not written with dots, right? It's written without dots. So it's to tell us that you shouldn't just interpret it as, and you'll slaughter, Ella also, but also interpret it as Visachat. Okay, Visachat. So Visachat means Mimakom Shesach. So the place where he has conversation, the place where he talks, Chateyu, break it.
They changed the letter.
What's that?
It doesn't do with dots. They changed the letter.
Well, no, because if you didn't have a dot, the shin might be a sin. So it's the same sound. Okay. One second. If you're saying it's from the place where he talks, because of the word sach, so maybe it's the tongue. So that can't be that the meaning of shchita is to cut the tongue. Because we know Binan Dama Nefesh V'Leka. The whole point of the slaughtering is to then get the blood that has the life, and to take the blood with the life and throw the blood with life onto the Mizbeach. There's no blood of life in the tongue. So maybe Ve'ema, if you're just learning from the word V'Shachat, Ve'ema Dekara, maybe he starts cutting from the tongue. V'Azlan, he continues Adama Nefesh until he gets to the blood of the life. And furthermore, on Rabbi Shmuel, also we can say, how do we know the 5 laws of Shchita? Ela Gemara, it's Allah Moshe Sinai. So then Shchita Menetzav Arnami Gemara. How do we know that the slaughtering has to be at the neck? Also, it's Allah Moshe Sinai. Okay, so what's he going to do with the word? So what's he going to do with the Shachat? What does he use the word for? As we said the last 2 times. To teach us that he shouldn't cut the animal all the way through, to make it into halves, to cut it into 2. Namely, that he shouldn't do trasa, according to the second opinion of Rashi, or that he shouldn't continue after the pipes into the spine. Okay, so 3 proposed answers, all rejected, and ultimately we're back to Halacha Moshe Sinai. Proposal number 4. V'tana Maisi Lamahacha. The expert on Braisos and Mishnayos, he derived it from here. The Tana derived it from here. Tana, Rashi says, means the Tana of Torah's Kohanim. In the Brisa of Torah's Kohanim, the Medrash on Vayikra. The Tana went in the Brisa. Reb Chia said, what's the source that Shchita has to be at the neck? Because the verse says, the children of Aaron are to arrange the cut pieces. Then it goes on, the head with fat on it. Why did it have to say it's a Rosh Vasapader? Not Tamalom is a Rosh Vasapader. Why did it say Rosh Vasapader? They were put in cut pieces. The Ola is cut into 13 pieces. One of the pieces is the head. And on the head are put the fats. So why were they explicitly mentioned? Because since it says, he's to skin the Ola and then cut it up into pieces. So I would think that the pieces refer to those things that were in the skin, and then the skin was taken off, and then they get cut into pieces. Now the Rabbis is a rosh, but the head we don't take off the skin of the head. So maybe that's not called nesachim. Shekvar hutas, the head is just chopped off. Talmud Lomar, and that's why it says as Roshoves Pidro, that the head with the fat are also va'arach, are also arranged. So Mida Kamar as a rosh. Shekvar hutaz. So since this brisa said that the head is not part of what was mufshat, the head is completely chopped off. So you see that what killed it wasn't that it was killed from the back or from the side or from the heart. It was killed by the neck and it was chopped off. Okay. So that's the Gemara. 1 second. The Tana. Let's go back to this brisa. Pasach beroshu pader. He begins with one pasach. No, the first pasuk was Vayikra Aleph Ches. The children of Aaron are to arrange the pieces, the head and the fat, with the other pieces in the fire on the mizbeach. But then the Messiah Berosho Pidro, he ends with a different pasuk of verse Vayikra 1:12. So what's he telling us? This is what it means. How do we know to include the head that was already cut off? So what do I need the other pasuk? Rosho Pidro. You need it for a brisa. How do we know that the head and the fat are the first thing put into the fire before all the other pieces? That's what it says. That's Rosho, the es pidro, and then v'arach. First the head and the fat, and then he arranges everything else. Says the Gemara, Pader kama the kaser rachmana lamali. So why did the Torah first mention the word pader, the head and the fat? The first verse is needed l'kidatanya for the following brisa. We learned in the brisa now on Chav Zayin with Beis. Ketzeruose. How does the Kohen put the head onto the fire? Chofe es hapader al beis hashkita. He takes the fat, the chelev, and this blob of fat he puts on top of the place which was slaughtered, and then he walks it to the fire with the head covered by the place of the cut, covered with the fat. And that's what he brings it up onto the top of the mizbeach. This is the way to give honor to Hashem. It's not honorable to walk up to Hashem, an animal head with blood all over the place. So you cover all the blood with the cover, the big white blob of pader, of fat. Yes, sure, we learned it in Zvachim, absolutely. Good morning. Good morning. The earliest time for tefillin this morning is 6:22, so we have a wait. Says the Gemara, "V'hai Tana ma'isi l'ma'acha." The following Tana learns it from this source. Tanya, we learned in a brisa. It says about a dead animal, a dead nevela. Zos Torah sabehema v'hof. This is the law of the animal and the bird. So 1 second. What's the Torah where the animal's like a bird? And a bird's like an animal. They're very different. You talk about Tumas Nevela, which is that section. There's a big difference. A dead Nevela animal is tameh. If you touch it, makes the person tameh. It's tameh if it's carried. But a dead bird, if you touch, does not make you tameh. It only makes you tameh if you chew it, if you swallow it. A dead nevela bird, if a person is wearing clothing and somebody puts a piece of dead bird into his bird that wasn't killed by shchita, bird that was killed some other way, puts it into his mouth and he swallows it, through the swallowing his clothing become tummy. Whereas an animal nevela, if you swallow it, he's dressed and somebody puts a piece of dead nevela animal into his throat and he starts swallowing it, he doesn't become tummy. So in which way, in which law is the animal like the bird and the bird like the animal? So it's not about tumas nevela, it is in regards to shchita. Just like an animal is with shchita through the throat, it's seen from all these sources. So to a bird gets koshered through shchita. So 1 second, if you're comparing the bird to the animal, so say totally compare it. Just like an animal, you need to slit the majority of both pipes, the trachea and the esophagus. Afkam berov shnayim. So maybe the bird also should need both pipes. And our Mishnah said not. Our Mishnah said that the bird only needs a majority of one pipe, and the animal needs both pipes. Talmud, the verse says, Zos, this, but not everything. This, in regards that there is shchita, but not everything, not both pipes, only one pipe. Rabbi Lezer says, in regards to what Torah is the animal like a bird, and the bird like the animal, to tell you, just like the bird needs to be from the neck, because the bird is umalakas rosho. The Kohen has to take his thumb and flick off the head. Right? He has to cut through the back. So there it's through the neck. So to the animal is the shechit is in the neck. 1 second, if you're comparing it to birds, so maybe it's through the back of the neck. There it's the nape of the neck. Maybe the animal also is the back of the neck. That's what the verse says about the bird. Umalakas rosho mimul arpo velo yavdil. And he is to sever his head from the back of his neck and not fully detach the head in the chatas ha'of. Rosh Hashanah oref. This one, arpo, this one, rosho. This one's head is in the back of the neck, and Rosh Hashanah, but the neck, the head of something else, namely the animal, is not in the back of the neck; it's in the front of the neck. Rabbi Lezer says the Gemara, Rabbi Lezer, hi zos my avalit. What's he going to do with the word zos? Right? What does he need zos for? So he'll tell you, have amin. I would have thought ma'of b'simin echad, apim b'simin echad. I would have thought just like a bird can be done with one pipe, maybe the animal also can be done with only one pipe. Because of Rahman Azos, that's Hashem says this one is with one pipe, and the other one is not with one pipe. All right, another source. Tani Bar Kapara taught, it says, Zos Torah Sabehema Ba'of, V'chol Nefesh Achaya, Haromeses B'mayim. This is the Torah for the animal and the birds and for the living things swarming in the waters, namely the fish. So therefore, the Torah is putting the bird between animal and fish, right? Those Torahs have behema, animal, ha'of, bird, called nefesh achayar omeses, b'mayim, that's fish. So the bird is between fish and animals. So let's say like this. To say that when a bird, it only is a kosher kill if both pipes are slit. No, because it's compared to fish. It's next to fish. Fish don't need to be killed at all. They don't need any shkita. To say it's like fish and doesn't need anything, because it's right next to animal. An animal needs two pipes. Okay, so here's the answer. Animal needs two pipes, fish need no pipes, and bird needs one pipe. It's kosher with one pipe being slaughtered. Says the Gemara, how do we know that the fish don't need a shkita? You think Mishnah is going to tell me from the verse it says that when Moshe Rabbeinu is complaining about the people asking for the slab, he says, if cattle and sheep will be slaughtered for them, it's called if all the fish will be gathered for them, so that it's still not going to be enough for them. So that's saying that means that just gathering is enough for the fish. If that's the case, but in regards to the quail, it says and they gather the quail. That means that they don't need to be slaughtered, they just need to be gathered. He just said you can't say that a bird doesn't need anything because a bird is next to animal. It does need something. The Gemara says, no. In regards to quail over there, looks at Asifa b'makom shchita da'achrini. It doesn't say gathering in contrast to slaughtering with something else being slaughtered. But here, the Torah is talking about shchita. It says birds are slaughtered. It says animals are slaughtered. And then it says, and the birds, and the right, he said, Hatzonu v'akar yishachet lahem, will sheep and cattle be slaughtered for them? That means animals being slaughtered. Hadagim yasvu lahem, will the fish be gathered for them? So he could have said, will the fish be slaughtered? He already spoke about slaughtering in this very verse. So if in the same verse it talks about slaughtering and gathering, so then gathering means gathering but not slaughtering. But if in some other context, in regards to birds, it just says the gathering of birds without talking about shechita at all, that's not to say that it's gathered but not killed with slaughtering. It's saying it's gathered. So therefore, this verse that says sheep and cattle slaughtered and fish gathered is the source that fish don't need slaughtering.
A kosher fish can never be treif?
Correct. That's right.
When you can eat a fish live?
No.
No, I think it has to be dead. No.
Sounds like it.
Take it out of the water, it's still flipping around.
No, I think it has to be killed. I think it has to be killed.
Has to be killed, yeah. definitely.
Exactly. Sheretz and shekets, as Geva says. Because as we saw before, right? We said even the chick, right, when it comes out of the womb is disgusting. So we're not allowed to do disgusting things.
Rabbi, the laws of sheching the chicken and the animal is the same, more or less, right?
Yes,
The laws.
absolutely. Just one pipe versus two pipes.
But the person who does the chicken usually cannot do, specializes in a...
There is more halachos about how to check, yes. So
Right.
in terms of practically, there's the first step, which is to get the authority to check chicken and then to check animals.
Correct.
Darash Oved Gilila. Oved Gilila taught a matter of Agadita. He said like this: the animals were created out of the land. God made the animals out of the dust. They're like man. Therefore, that's why they need a shchita with two pipes. But the fish were created out of the water, so they have less life. Therefore, they don't need any shchita. Birds were created from mud. Therefore, back in Sheshes and Bereshis. Therefore, they need a little bit more than fish, but not as much as animals. All they need is to have one pipe slit. Rav Shmuel Kaputka. Rav Shmuel Kaputka said, Teda, what's the proof that the birds were created from the mud? The fish, the birds have scales on their feet like the fish. You see that they had some water in their initial creation. Oh, Shalo. There's another tradition that the Roman once asked Rabbi Gamliel. One verse says, let the birds swarm with swarming things, namely with fish, and let the waters swarm with swarming things, namely fish, and a bird will take flight. That sounds like the birds were created from the water. Except the next verse says, God created from the earth all the wild animals of the field and all the birds of the heavens. Alma me'aret ivri. It must mean that they were created from the earth. It says mina adama. Amar lo. So Gamliel answered mina rakat nivro. They were created from the mud. Ra talmid mistaklen zebazeh. So Gamliel saw his students looking at each other. They were like shocked. And when he said to them, I see that it's hard for you that I pushed aside my enemy with just like a reed, with something not so strong. The truth is, min hamayim nivru. The birds were also created from the water. Lama evina la'adam. Why does it say vayitzer min ha'adama? That's to say vayavel la'adam. It's to say that they were brought with the animals to man. Likros lam shem, to give a name, but not really that they were created from the dirt. They're just brought to man so that man would name them. Others say that he in fact gave a different version to that Roman. He said that the birds were created from the water. And the real answer is that the birds were created from the mud. Because it says about the birds, that it created them from the dirt. Okay, the earliest time for talis and tefillin is 6:22. We'll just go a little bit further and then we'll stop. Rav Yehuda is the name of Rav Yitzchak ben Pinchas. And shchita lof ben hatzorah. He holds that birds are like fish. Birds do not need to get shchita. Just as long as they're killed, you can eat them. Shenemar midoraisa, because it says about kisi adam, about covering the blood. V'shafach es damo v'chiso ba'afar. You'll spill the blood and cover it. V'shvicha ba'amosagi. Anyway, spilling the blood is already enough. Iachi, if that's the case, chayanamis, even a wild animal, it also says v'shafach, and it should be covered with blood. So there, maybe a wild animal should also not need shchita. The answer is no. Wild animals, iskash, l'psulia mizbeach, is compared to karbanos that have a blemish. It says about a carbon has a blemish. Tochlenu atamei b'atar yachdav. The animals with the blemish will be eaten like the deer. So therefore, just like deer need shchita, they need shchita. Just like blemished animals need shchita, the wild animals need shchita. Says the Gemara, but birds are compared to animals. The says no, but But it says it'll spill the blood, it doesn't need a shchita. My chazit to shaja lahaya oaf. Shaja achaya. Why do you say that v'shafachas damo is only referring to birds? Why not referring to wild animals? Mistabra makes sense. V'shafach is referring to birds. We should desalk minei, because that's what it had just been talking about. Rabbi Chananya ben Akasha meretz HaKadosh Baruch Hu l'sakos Yisrael l'fi chakir b'lem tzaro mitzvah shenemar adin chafetz l'man tzidko.